Thank you for tuning in to our new moon solar eclipse astrological broadcast. Now we are going to talk about this solar eclipse which is happening on the 25th of October. It's in the sign of Libra in the ancient traditional form of astrology known as Vedic or the Egyptian system, which uses the sidereal system, which are the true placements of the planets. Now it's in the sign of Libra, and we have Venus, the Sun, and Mercury is also about to join Libra. Now this is no coincidence because we found that Donald Trump and Kanye West met together on the exaltation of Mercury, which was at the 14th degree, 13th, 14th degree. And what we find is that on the 17th of October, the shadow period, which I spoke about, is what actually took place. So obviously, for those who are in tune with Kanye West, would have known that he's now trying to launch his new app because of the censorship that's been going on around what he's been saying about the Jews and this whole, this is all crazy. But obviously Donald Trump wasn't happy with what he said. And that's actually to do with the sun being in Libra because it's debilitated this week. So this new moon eclipse, which is to do with the sun, when the sun meets the moon and there's an eclipse, there's some kind of energy kicking in. And because the sun is in Libra, it's weak there. It's showing us a form of disagreement which is taking place. And I want to talk about this because Venus governs Libra, and Venus is all about love and harmony and friendships and finding the right connection and beauty and art. And so when the sun comes in there, there's a weakness that takes form. And this is a time to work on the weakest aspect of your creativity. So this new moon, let me go into this. And before I go into this, if you want to get an astrological reading, feel free to click astrology reading on the website link only, or contact me personally. I will never contact anybody about getting a reading. So if someone messages you about getting a reading, then ignore them because it's not me. And so you can only book only if you decide from your own calling to click the website and click astrology readings. So let us continue into this new moon. Now, one thing that I would like to say is that it's easy to fall in love with someone, but it's harder to learn to love something or someone that is healthy for you. Because love is an act of will. And Venus is the significator of relationships and love in astrology. So it's very important for me to lay this because whenever there's a solar eclipse, it's about detaching yourself from something and falling into something that is more divine in quality. So this could be your career, this could be your relationship, but there's a form of detachment taking place. And the eclipse is warming us into this. So how do we work with such an ecliptic energy? Well, let's look into this a bit more wisely. From the 24th, 25th, and the 26th, the energy is subtle. So it's dark on the 24th. But then what happens? Well, what happens is, as the moon is getting closer to this solar eclipse, the key is to do mantras, get into meditation practice, start doing a bit of fasting during this time, because it aligns you to this energy which is building you up into this vibration. And because it's a creative art, this is a great time to work on your weakness. Where is your creative style and how can you work on your weakness within this creative moment? And this is a way you can strengthen your Venusian energy, your creative skills. How do you maneuver? How do you build the right kind of friendships? Where are your weaknesses in your friendships and connection? Remember that the new moon is about building energy, and then the full moon is about releasing what you've built. And so this is the great time to really tap into these harmonics, vibration, whether you're a keyboard player, an artist, a musician, or perhaps you like to write poetry. These are the techniques and places that you want to look into. So this is the key with this new moon. Now, this new moon is in a place called Swati. Swati Nakshatra, which is one of the lunar mentions, where the moon is opposing this new moon solar eclipse, is calling upon detachment, calling upon really surrendering to the movement of confusion, or going into this confusion state. And this state is a serene type of state because it's allowing you to detach and move towards more of into a more spiritual connotation in the cosmos and in the universe. So what you're finding here, we're being pulled into that vibration because Venus is in there, the sun is in there, the moon is in there, Mercury's about to go in there. And obviously when Mercury hit that point in Virgo, where the shadow was, which was on the 17th, like I said, Kanye West started to go all out and, you know, spoke about so much stuff. So this is all connected to the shadow period, which lays into this new moon. Now, we have to remember that we don't want to get confused with the media. We want to get straight to what it is that they're trying to do. So the reality is, it's an app that they're trying to create, like Telegram, hence why Donald Trump and Kanye met, because they're both Geminis. And, you know, they have a strong Gemini energy. This is what I'm trying to say. And so the twins met up with this alignment because Mercury governs Gemini as well as Virgo. So they met up on the 17th, which is when the shadow was, to release this and move into this app. Remember that Trump deals with Telegram. Now, Kanye West is dealing with this new app about censorship. So you can kind of see what's going on. It's more a deception here. So how do you get people's attention? Well, you talk about the problem with white lives matter and black lives matter. You bring those two together, which is what they did. And now what do? You create commotion, controversial information. We can't get confused in the illusion, which is the media. So they're all in it. They're all in it. How do you play with it? It's who is controlling who. And of course, you know, people know about the Jews already. You know, like Wiley spoke about this. Now Kanye is talking about this. Different kind of artists are talking about this. Yes, we know there's some kind of craziness taking place, but at the same time, there's a bigger picture taking place. And we have to look at what they're trying to do. Bring out these apps, control people, put people in a systematic way. Okay, therefore means all the people that's against the government, we're going to put them in one place. And the people who follow them, we're going to put them in one place. So they're creatively utilizing these techniques of technology to bring people in different segments and portions. So we got to read beyond the algorithm and what they're trying to systematically put in. So the key is to not get confused in the illusion, because this is what Swati in Libra represents: illusions, getting confused and poured into this realm of confusion. Now, Rahu or Swati, Rahu represents the North Node, and the North Node is the most magnetic part in your birth chart, and this is what you're pulled into. So we have to look at what the North Node is doing, and this is where it's about relationships, confusing relationships, but also being able to go deep into the nature of these partnerships. And this is why these new partnerships are opening up. So it's a good time to get into investing into this new app that perhaps Kanye is putting out. So there's some kind of interesting aspect of things that are taking place with this. And it's all about shaping social media and forming new platforms. So we're seeing how they're moving the different elements of the world into a different form of technology. So that's what's taking place, because Mercury governs technology. And I want to bring that in because Mercury's about to enter Libra just after the new moon eclipse. So there's going to be an interesting kind of correlationship with Venus, which deals with partnerships, and Mercury, which is about to go in there. So this is a very sensitive new moon, a very sensitive one, because we're dealing with an eclipse, which is literally just after a shadow period of Mercury. And interestingly, it's folding into this new moon solar eclipse. So there's some other stuff kicking in. So obviously we had the Queen, the death of the Queen, and then we're moving into this financial change with the pound and the dollar, and then we're slightly moving into this new kind of orientation with the petrol and all of this craziness. So there's something taking place financially, and these friendships and these confusion of partnerships and connections are forming. So this new moon is calling upon a new way of relating. We're dealing with some kind of interesting way of interconnecting. So now let us go a little bit deeper into this new moon. How can we remedy this? Because the sun is not in a good place in Libra. Well, almond, sesame seeds, black lentil, those are some of the remedies that you can have on your altar. You can literally light a candle on the new moon. It's great to light a white candle because we're dealing with Venus, or a cream candle, and just really connect with whether it's mantras, meditation, anything which connects you to the universe. And it's good to do these kind of mantras. So you can make offerings of those kinds, or you can consume these as well, because it will allow you to tap into the vibration of these food types, because they align you to the vibration and help the sun's energy to help to remove some of this debilitation, which is the weakness part of the sun. So why is the sun debilitated in the sign of Libra, and how does this affect us? Well, the sun is focused. The sun represents focused energy. And when it's in the sign of Libra, the partnerships can be unbalanced. It's almost like the sun wants to focus on one point, but because the sun is in Libra, it's unable to see the clarity between two angles and two things. So when this eclipse takes form, it's like there's so much confusion going on. It's like, where do I see the element of light? Because the light can't see its perception. So the prism of light begins to move into different direction, which just literally sends the mind in a crazy state. So in essence, how do we remedy this? By having certain offerings to keep the mind focused. And so that way there's not too much escapism into somewhere else. So this is great for artists. This is a great time to see the weakness in your art. So remember, the new moon is about seeding something. And so this is a great time to seed a new idea. And the idea is about detaching oneself from the norm. Now, the great thing is Saturn moves forward soon. And so as it's moving forward, actually, let me just double check, because I think it's moving forward before the new moon. And this is going to be great. You know, a lot of the time when I do these things, I just look at what's going on, and then I don't always check things in time, but I already know, have an essence of knowing how things are going to literally materialize themselves in the cosmos, which is fun because, you know, sometimes you can't always look, you know, because otherwise it becomes too critical. You got to let things flow. And so this is how you work with the planets in a much more harmonic way. So let me just double check, because I know Saturn is about to move forward and nothing gets to say without Saturn. But before Saturn moves forward, well, it is actually moving forward on the 24th. So actually, this is really important. So Saturn moves just before this solar eclipse. Wow. And then what happens is, on top of that, Mars is about to go retrograde. So there is some kind of element of financial reobservation taking place, because Mars is about to go back into the sign of Taurus, which governs with matter of food, resources, money. And this is going to go on until January. So Saturn is moving into the sign, well, it's moving forward again in the sign of Capricorn, but won't move out of Capricorn until January. So it's a big one. It's an interesting one. So as it moves forward, there's definitely going to be some rocky things going on, and we're about to take action. So that means that if you've got long-term goals, be mindful, because this new moon is going to kind of just create some kind of confusion, right? After the confusion of this new moon, When Saturn sits well, I almost feel after this new moon may be a better time to do something, right? So don't get confused into things, but just be observant. And obviously, depending on where it sits, people with the sign of Libra, Virgo kind of energy will be affected by this new moon. It will have some kind of effects there. So this is where the energy is showing and taking us into here, because we can kind of see how everything is panning out gradually. And it is a sensitive one. Remember, get your mala beads, get your incense, because this is a great time to just tune in and be gradual and slow, because this eclipse really can bring confusion in a direction. You may get into this state of just, there could be a serene state with this. There could be a really strong, serene state with this. It's sensitive, so you don't want to escape too far, but you want to just free yourself with it. Because remember that we're dealing with the energy of Pisces as well. While Jupiter is in Pisces, it's really showing this element of kind of flowing. And because it's in this place called Swati, it's about escapism, we can really tune into this energy. And when we tune into this escapism energy, we've got to remember that Venus represents love, and Venus connects to Ma'at, which is an ancient deity, and Ma'at deals with the heart, and the heart connects you to the feather being light, and so the feather actually links you to Rahu, and it's connected to Swati, and Swati represents the element of just detaching and expanding that heart. And so while Venus is there with the sun, the moon, and this eclipse taking place, and Mercury's about to go in there, we're literally trying to just work on this art and make this art work well. So building these kind of friendships and partnerships, how do we keep them stable? This is what this new moon is teaching us. So it's teaching us enabling us to become more flowing with the emotion and just being able to just tap into the harmony of the universe. So fine-tune your weaknesses. This is the key. Fine-tune your weaknesses in your relationships. And I'm actually going to do a video shortly, a short video just explaining how to make a relationship work. Should we say how to find love? So I'm about to do a video shortly, and I think it would be really ideal for those who are getting into astrology and trying to understand the basics of the houses and stuff. And obviously you can always download the video that I have breaking down the houses and the signs, just breaking down the houses and the signs, just to get an understanding of this, you know, on the astrological level, because there's so much information with astrology, but it's how do you understand your chart? And you know, because astrology is not just mathematical, it's also intuitive. So, you know, just looking into someone's chart, we're looking at the different faculties and the elements of how these planets are moving in you, and how to understand the elements in you, which is really amazing because it can really detail things. And really it's about a place of opportunity. So you can take on these opportunities, and especially when you understand it. So when I do this video, it's going to really explain this, and it's a great time to explain this because all these planets are moving into Libra, and it's going to be really ideal to really understand how they literally are playing their games. And I just thought, while Venus is in Libra, this is a great time to just talk about the nature of love and the nature of relationships, because this is what Venus deals with, and you can only work with the planets in the right format to actually describe these faculties. So thank you so much for tuning in to our monthly new moon eclipse, and it's going to be an interesting one. So feel free to tune in, and don't forget to leave a message below if you really felt this, or you felt moved by this, or if you want to find out more information or just go deeper and just want to understand something. Feel free to leave a message below. And don't forget to check out some of the Orgonites, which is on the website, like this one here. I haven't even put this up yet, but made with rose quartz and amethyst and clear quartz. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.